Are you familiar with the sound of mice scurrying overhead? Would you say that this sound is made by mice rushing towards a scrap of food, or are the mice just playing around with each other the same way we might have a catch or kick the ball around? If someone asked whether the number of blades of grass on a small lawn outnumbered all the trees in the world, would you find this question foolish? Have you ever been to Brazil? Do you know what a Japanese maple tree looks like? If a friend asked you to come over and do some yard work, would you reserve a couple of hours, or would you expect it to take all day? Have you ever come across a frozen animal in your yard? If so, did you find yourself staring at the frozen animal for longer than you would now think appropriate? When buying a carpet, do you think it more effective to get a soft carpet with a hard foam underneath, or a hard carpet with a soft foam underneath? Have you ever been part of a job wheel? Can you remember the last time you fell asleep holding someone's hand? Would you have a harder time trusting someone who is afraid of snakes, or someone who is afraid of the dark? If you were at a party and you ran into someone whose name you couldn't remember, would you avoid using any name altogether, or would you apologize and ask the person his name? Do you mind the feeling of someone else's facial hair rubbing against your cheek? If, during a dinner party, you were asked if you believed in God, would you answer earnestly or change the subject? Do you know how to replace a faucet? Have you ever showered with a cricket? Are you familiar with the term bilko doors? How many cherries would you need to make enough preserves for the winter? If you have a piano in your house, is it in tune? When you imagine a picturesque evening in front of a fire, did you make the fire or did someone else make it? What's the difference between a living room and a sitting room? Do you remember the name of the first video game you ever played? How tall was the first person you slept with? Is there any music you can't stand to listen to because it reminds you of a time you would rather forget? Speaking of which, do you hate anyone? Have you ever missed a holiday due to sudden hospitalization? Is there enough happiness in the world to go around, or is there a limited amount that we all have to share? Strategy to avoid kidnapping? Have you ever given any thought to how you might communicate something important to a loved one if you were under surveillance? Do you have any feelings about wallpaper? What is a good reason to cry? Do you have a keen eye for when a room is part of an addition to a house? Do you know how to operate a siphon? Have you ever used a trash compactor? Why do strawberry plants only produce fruit every other year? Can you tell the difference between a 56 Corvette and a 57? The last time you felt safe? Of the secrets you have ever kept, are there any it would now be okay to share? What is the secret? Have you ever used a hose to clear leaves off of a driveway? Would you consider this a fun activity or a chore? What is the ideal angle for a sledding hill? Have you ever built a go-kart? Do you know anyone with only one arm? Are you frightened by the sight of a German Shepherd? Does the prospect of mutually assured destruction excite you? Is there a season that you most associate with the end of time? Can you pinpoint the moment your childhood ended? When was that?